Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. A major reopening in New York. One day after the governor announced that most COVID restrictions are lifted, we're hearing how residents feel about it and what some businesses plan to do now. Big Fox's Matt Kleindens has our top story.
Good evening, Ann. After 15 long months, local residents and businesses are quickly embracing having limited COVID restrictions and looking to return to normal lifestyles. A day after New York lifted COVID restrictions, downtown Corning was buzzing with activity.
Time to move forward. It's nice to start moving forward.
Sarah and Joanne Derenbacher say they were relieved when COVID restrictions were lifted, saying it will allow all New Yorkers to live normal lives again.
It's very nice to see everybody's smiles and faces and be able to greet each other and be humans again.
I think allowing ourselves the joy and the freedom of expression and all of that is a really wonderful thing.
Local businesses like card carrying books and gifts say the lifting of restrictions will greatly help generate revenue for the city.
Our success depends a lot on foot traffic and on people, coming down and enjoying the street and the restaurants and the whole vibe of the downtown.
Dusty Hewitt says his store will still keep some pandemic cleaning measures in place. However, the store will be accommodating for all mask preferences.
We are kind of trying to be respectful of our guests who come in and trying to match what they're doing. So if someone comes in with a mask, we'll mask up. Just because we respect, whatever they're most comfortable with.
Hewitt credits the lifting of restrictions on residents getting vaccinated to keep Corning safe. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
The Clemens Center announced 2 national Broadway tours will kick off in Elmira. The productions for An Officer and a Gentleman and Oklahoma will be conducting tech rehearsals and performances this October and November at the theater. The Clemens Center says the 2 tours will generate around $5 million for the local economy.
Downtown Elmira businesses and their employees will benefit from cast and crew patronizing travel, hotels, restaurants, and other amenities while they're here. As many as 55 local 289 stagehands will be hired to work on each production.
Tickets are now on sale for the first performances on October 15th and 16th. Today marked President Biden's 8th and final day of his first foreign trip in office, and it capped off with a much-anticipated summit alongside Russian President Vladimir Putin. Lauren Blanchard is in Geneva with the latest on their high-profile sit-down.
The eyes of the world on Geneva as President Biden met with President Putin here for their much-anticipated Swiss summit.
Best wishes and goodbye.
In their first summit together as world leaders, Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Joe Biden kicked off discussions with a handshake. Then their hours-long sit-down began. The first session lasting just under 2 hours, both bringing along one guest each. Secretary of State Antony Blinken joining President Biden.
It's always better to meet face-to-face.
Later, an expanded meeting. Ahead of their summit, President Biden described his Russian counterpart as a worthy adversary, with plans to push him on cybersecurity, election interference, and human rights abuses.
Well, I think you have to stand up to Russia.
Both leaders went into the summit expressing hope for a productive dialogue. In 1955, the lakeside city of Geneva, considered by both parties to be neutral ground, was where then President Eisenhower met with the leaders of France, Britain, and the Soviet Union in an effort to end the Cold War. 30 years later, Geneva, also where President Reagan met Mikhail Gorbachev, discussions that some say paved the way to the end of the Soviet Union. Wednesday, President Biden began talks hoping for a repeat of historical precedents, seeking to once again diffuse tensions with Russia. The Biden White House didn't want a joint press conference, saying it was more appropriate for the presidents to do them solo.
As Congress works to pass an infrastructure bill, progressive lawmakers are threatening the prospects of a proposal crafted by a group of bipartisan senators. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the latest on the talks.
A group of bipartisan senators have yet to release the full details of their infrastructure package, but there are already questions about its prospects, with progressives doubting its scope.
I don't have a lot of faith that these bipartisan discussions in the Senate are going to yield anything.
The deal focuses on physical infrastructure and is expected to cost $1.2 trillion over 8 years. Critics say that amount is not enough. Some lawmakers say it's time for Democrats to move forward alone, especially if the proposal doesn't include bold action on climate change.
We need to move forward with 50 Democratic votes now that the Republicans have shown us they are not serious about creating clean energy jobs.
Democratic leaders say they are now pursuing two tracks. As bipartisan talks continue, they're working on another ambitious plan that would include more Democratic initiatives. And they're looking to pass it through reconciliation, a process that requires no Republican support.
There are a good number of members in our caucus who say to us, whenever you can do something bipartisan, you ought to try. But alongside that is the view that that won't be enough.
Several Republicans, however, doubt Democrats have the votes needed to pass a bigger package.
I think they've got their own problems trying to figure out within the Democratic caucus what they're able and willing to do.
Senate Majority Leader Schumer will convene a meeting with Democrats on the Senate Budget Committee this afternoon, in part to talk about the work of starting the reconciliation process.
3 Honolulu police officers are now facing murder charges in the April shooting death of a 16-year-old. The new charges come shortly after a grand jury decided not to indict them. Jolene Martinez has the story, and we must warn you, it contains video of the shooting that some viewers may find disturbing.
More than 2 months after Honolulu police shot and killed 16-year-old Ira member Sycap, the criminal charges against 3 officers are adding to the controversy.
The criminal charges make that very clear. Our client was murdered.
Proving that there was intent to commit murder, I think, is a difficult hurdle.
HPD says Sycap was driving a stolen car with 5 others inside when he led police on a dangerous high-speed chase. The group was suspected of an armed home invasion just a half an hour earlier. Prosecuting attorney Steve Alm said his office reviewed more than 1,300 pages of reports, 70 body camera videos, and 40 videos from other nearby cameras. According to charging documents, Officer Jeffrey Thom said Sycap rammed the stolen car into his patrol car, but Thom's vehicle had minor paint chips and scuff marks. The prosecutor says Officer Fredalusis fired into the driver's door without confirming that the shots he heard were coming from the suspect. Officer Zachary Ani said he thought he saw a firearm on the front passenger's lap, but prosecutors say body cam footage show a thin square object that does not look like a firearm. The criminal complaint includes photos showing the trajectories of the officer's bullets, including the 8 that struck Sycap. HPD refused to release this body cam video, but we obtained it through sources. It's from the camera worn by Officer Thom, who fired 10 shots.
It's sickening, all along that what I had been shown and the evidence that I saw, to me, it did not appear that the officers were acting out of their fear, their threat of life.
HPD's interim chief called the charges highly unusual, since a grand jury had already declined to indict the officers. One attorney not involved in the case agrees.
It gives the prosecutors the heads up that something's wrong with their case because they couldn't even establish probable cause. So how are they going to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a higher standard, later at trial? It's not unheard of. The prosecutors do shop the case around to the grand juries, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Senseless violence. That's how a Georgia family is describing the murder of their loved one. A cashier killed after asking a shopper to wear a mask. The family is now calling for justice. Sierra Cummings reports.
Just amazing person, that dependable person you always have in your corner.
Although siblings, Laquita Willis was so much like a second mom to her little sister.
She loved people. And
Alexis Breland describes her as the protector. She was trying to protect others on Monday, asking shoppers to wear masks.
A life was lost, a beautiful soul was lost over something that not too long ago was mandatory.
Suspect Victor Tucker refused to put on his mask. He left the store, came back with a gun, then police say he shot the 41-year-old in her head.
This person meant so much to so many people, and that this was a senseless death. So whatever is deemed, justice for his actions, I think everything should be thrown at him.
The family can't help but think if someone saw the gunman before he made it back inside.
Just wondering if more could have been done.
Flowers and balloons line the outside of the supermarket where Willis was beloved for her customer service.
Her work ethic was impeccable. No matter where she worked, she always carried that same work ethic wherever she went, and it showed.
The Education Department issued a reversal today on the Trump administration's stance toward gay and transgender students. Officials say Title IX prohibits discrimination that is based on gender identity and sexual orientation. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona issued a statement that says, quote, "All students, including LGBTQ+ students, deserve the opportunity to learn and thrive in schools." In 2017, Trump said rights for transgender and gay students were not protected by law. Under Trump, transgender students had to use bathrooms and facilities that corresponded to birth gender. Still ahead tonight, harmful chemicals found in your baby's food. A popular brand of baby food recalled last week because of high levels of arsenic.
If you choose a rice cereal from the grocery store, you really don't know if it has high arsenic or not.
Why one consumer advocacy group is now urging parents to not use rice cereal at all.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. It was quite a breezy day today with winds coming in from the northwest, and that kept the cool air going, and it felt very pleasant outside. A great day to do anything outside. We're going to have one more nice day before warmer air returns and also rain chances. Right now, winds have calmed down to about 5 to 10 miles per hour in most locations, but still about 17 miles per hour though in Perkinsville. High pressure will continue to build in, and that will leave us with very comfortable conditions, plenty of sunshine as well throughout the day on Thursday. But our rain chances will start to increase as this high starts to shift to the east, allowing for another storm system to move our way. So another great day to do any yard work outside. If you're going to be mowing, temperature readings will be around 50 degrees in the early morning hours. I think that's just perfect weather to do anything outside. 67 degrees at 10 and then in the 70s in the afternoon. So you could even go for a run with this cooler air that's in place. But if you're planning to mow, you have tomorrow, but then as we move into your Friday, there is the possibility of a little bit of rain. So it's still pretty fair as far as your mowing outlook looks. But by Saturday, our chances of rain will start to increase. So you might want to have to wait a day because by Sunday, that rain will move out and it's going to be a better day to be mowing. So over the weekend, high pressure builds in again, at least on Sunday, and then another system dives in by the end of the weekend and into next week, and it's going to bring the rain chances back. So we are expecting the wet weather to return. Here's a look at your forecast as we head into tonight. Temperatures will drop down to around 40 degrees in Corning as well as in Elmira. Mostly clear conditions, and it may feel a little bit chilly. We're not used to this cool air, especially with the mild air that we've had in place for the last week or so. Highs tomorrow around 76 degrees, both in Corning and Elmira, 78 degrees in Watkins Glen, a little bit cooler in Perkinsville at 73 degrees. And your extended forecast calls for a warming trend, 82 degrees on Saturday with the possibility of a few thunderstorms. By the afternoon, we clear out on Sunday, and then another system comes in early next week. But this time around, there's going to be a cold front associated with it. So although we warm up to around 86 degrees on Monday, we're going to see those temperatures drop drastically by Tuesday, a 10-degree drop with a high around 76 degrees, and overnight lows will drop down into the 40s. And then it's going to be a chilly day on Wednesday with a high around 71 degrees, but at least we'll enjoy plenty of sunshine. That's a look at your weather. Stay tuned. We have more coming up right after this.
As the demand for blood continues to climb, the Red Cross says the U.S. is facing a severe shortage caused by the pandemic. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
It's being called a severe shortage.
We are seeing an unprecedented demand for blood.
Over the past 3 months, the Red Cross says it's distributed over 75,000 more blood products than usual. That's more than 800 extra units a day. Why? The pandemic.
We've been seeing patients that had their care delayed that are now coming back to have their procedures done, whether they would be elective procedures or other types of things. And some of these patients are coming back sicker, so they need more blood than they might have ordinarily needed if they had gotten the care sooner.
The Red Cross is also seeing a 10% rise in red cell demand from hospitals with trauma centers this year. While all blood types are needed, types B and O are in demand most. Platelet donations are also needed.
Despite everything that we've been doing to try to collect even more blood than we were planning, we're just not really able to keep up.
It doesn't appear the blood shortage will end in the near future. The Red Cross says it's in need of sustained donations throughout the summer. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Newly released video of Ocean City police tasing teenagers who were vaping on the boardwalk is stirring controversy there. It has some in Maryland, from the mayor of Ocean City to the governor, questioning whether police went too far. Bryn Gingras shows us what was caught on camera.
A teenager vaping, leading to this chaotic and shocking scene. You see an Ocean City, Maryland police officer kneeing a teenager multiple times in his side. According to police, officers were enforcing the town's smoking ordinance on the boardwalk when 19-year-old Brian Everett Anderson from Pennsylvania allegedly refused to stop vaping and show ID. Police say he then became disorderly. The video, recorded by a bystander, begins there. When Anderson says he told police he wasn't resisting arrest, he spoke to ABC News this morning. Another teen appears to be tased during the scuffle, while authorities say a third member of the group threw a bike at them.
I get a bike thrown at me, so I grabbed the bike and threw it to the side.
The incident escalated to arrests sparked by an infraction that normally carries up to a $500 fine. Ocean City's mayor saying in a statement, it was only after the individuals refused to provide identification that this became an arrestable offense, adding the officers' actions are under investigation. Governor Larry Hogan calling it a disturbing video.
We're just anxious to get the initial investigation conducted so we can have all the facts.
It's not the only incident in the city being called into question. Another video from last week showing the moment 18-year-old Tyzeer Griffin was tased. Ocean City police say they stopped the teenager for the same smoking violation and used a taser after he became disorderly and allegedly threatened to kill officers.
He was not resisting. He was not giving any issues to the police officers.
The events combined causing outrage from some of the state's delegation. The state speaker tweeting, vaping on the boardwalk is not a criminal offense. Black and brown children should not be tased while their hands are up. Officers should not kneel on the back of a minor. Vaping should not yield a hog tie.
A popular brand of baby food was recalled last week because of high levels of arsenic, and a consumer advocacy group is urging parents not to use rice cereal at all. Mandy Gaither has more.
It's often a baby's first solid food.
What we've done out of habit isn't necessarily best for babies.
But the consumer advocacy group Healthy Babies Bright Future is urging parents to stay away from rice cereal.
If you choose a rice cereal from the grocery store, you really don't know if it has high arsenic or not. You don't know if the company's tested or what decision the company's made about the arsenic in their product.
Last week, Beech-Nut recalled one lot of rice cereal after finding it exceeded the FDA's arsenic limits. No other Beech-Nut products are affected by this recall, and no illnesses related to these product codes were reported. But the company also announced it will stop selling baby rice cereal altogether.
Arsenic is a really common contaminant in soil. It's everywhere, but rice happens to be particularly effective at picking it up from the soil and absorbing it. And so infant rice cereal has higher levels of arsenic than almost any baby food on the market.
The FDA first proposed the limit on arsenic in infant rice cereal in 2016 when studies found nearly half of infant rice cereals sampled from retail stores in 2014 contained 100 parts per billion of arsenic or more. Even low levels of arsenic can harm a baby's developing brain.
If you've been serving infant rice cereal, there's no need for panic or immediate concern. The important thing is to make sure that throughout your child's infancy, you're doing what you can to reduce lead and arsenic exposures.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A surplus of Samoa's too many Thin Mints? You may be asking if that is even possible, but according to the Girl Scouts of the USA, the organization has millions of boxes of unsold cookies. About 15 million boxes weren't sold, with 12 million of those never even leaving the baking warehouses. The reason for the sales slump? Well, the Girl Scouts says the COVID-19 pandemic is to blame. As for what will happen to the excess goodies, those can be bought and donated to first responders or food banks. You just can't buy them for yourself. Traditionally, just under 200 million cookie boxes are snatched up. A total for this year has not been given. It's a big step for a 9-year-old girl and an enormous help for kids who are battling cancer. A third grader in New Hampshire made a big sacrifice, and as Jessica Moran reports, the donations are pouring in.
You look beautiful. 9-year-old Vivian Meyer has a fresh cut for the summer.
It was weird just seeing my hair just fall down.
The third grader shaved her head to raise money for kids with cancer. Her family says 3 of her grandparents died from cancer, and one of her former teachers shaved her head after losing her 5-year-old son to the disease.
My hair was like brownish, blondish, and it was like up to here, and then I shaved it.
But the premise of honoring these people that passed away and then really helping people today that are fighting this disease, for a 9-year-old who have all these other things that they have on their mind, to really focus on that is just, it's amazing.
Vivian brought the idea to her mom about 6 months ago.
We were like, you sure? This is an awesome thing. You sure you want to do that? It's a big deal. She's like, yeah, no, I do. She's like, she was ready, full blown.
Vivian's raised over $3,000 for Buzz Off for kids with cancer. The original goal was $500.
It's really cool that everybody did it and donated a lot of money.
Vivian's mom is beaming with pride.
Vivian Meyer, she's an amazing girl, going to do amazing things starting with this.
For now, Vivian will simply enjoy her new hair.
It feels good because when they rub it, tickles me.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Today is a day to indulge. It is National Fudge Day. Some of the most familiar flavors are chocolate, chocolate nut, peanut butter, maple, and maple nut. The confectionery appears to have made its debut in the late 19th century when some businesses on Mackinac Island, Michigan started to sell fudge-like items to tourists. Some of those original shops on that island are still around and, thankfully, still making fudge. From our whole team, thanks for joining us. We hope you have a sweet night.